Hello and welcome. And today I'm going to be covering the Live Letter 18, which happened earlier today. And unfortunately, I didn't really get a chance to watch it. I was a bit busy, but I am going to be reading through the question and answers, just give my opinion of what they're like and so on. And really, hello to everyone. It's been a while since I've had a live letter, so nice to see new things coming out. And a couple of notes before we get started is I am currently looking for a new FC, which is detailed in my previous video. So if you have an FC, please let me know. And also as well, I want to thank the people who have been donating very generously to my PayPal. Like really thank you. It really means a lot. But one especially more than others, a guy who I'll call Daniel M. You know who you are. Donated to me nearly $100 as a donation to my PayPal. It really made my day. You have no idea. It really made me so happy. I was telling people about it. I was just over the moon. So really, thank you very much for the generous donation. It really is very much appreciated. And it will go towards the price of the Elgato gaming device, because over the Christmas period, I am hoping to record Kingdom Hearts and put it on my channel, because my sister has bought me or pre-ordered for me, I should say, the collector's edition of 2.5 Remix, and Kingdom Hearts is one of my favorite games, so I will be going through that for my YouTube channel. But anyway, let's moving on to the live letter. Now, these question and answers are the let's say official, in quote fingers, translation of them, and they're posted on the official forums. I will link this in the description as well. So let's go. So patch 2.45 is scheduled to arrive on December 9th, that's quick. You know, time is passing so quick, and patches seem to be coming out like it feels like every other week. So question 1, it says, I'd like to know how you go about looking into things when balancing jobs. Can you also tell us what prompted you to adjust Dragoon? And the answer says, when it comes to job balance, we make adjustments looking at DPS, that is output on the training dummies, and DPS that is actually output while in content. There are two reasons why we decided to make adjustments to Dragoon. The first is the amount of damage taken by magic related attacks. While other jobs are able to take the same magical hit twice and survive, there are a lot of cases where Dragoon taking the same 2 hits will die. The second reason is the fact that it's easier for Dragoons to wind up dead, and there has been more and more feedback mentioning that participating in endgame content is becoming increasingly difficult. Which is fair enough. You know, it's kind of unfair to the Dragoons, I guess, if that's the case, so they're making adjustments. Great. Question 2. Could you provide details on upcoming Dragoon changes and tell us when the changes will go live? It says, we'll be making changes to the directional requirements on some actions. Specifically, you will not lose the buff if you fail to meet the directional requirement on the action. We understand that there are currently situations where a Dragoon is unable to go to a certain side of the enemy. After these changes go live, the overall damage drop in these situations should be less. Additionally, we'll be increasing the magic defense that they are currently lacking. We will be making other adjustments to Dragoon's actions, including the reduction of recast timers on certain skills, decreasing the increased damage taken during Blood for Blood, and increasing the damage over time damage on certain actions. We'll be making these adjustments in patch 2.45 scheduled for December 9th, which is great because Blood for Blood does give you a big increase in damage, but also gives you a big increase in the amount of damage you take as well. So it's almost like Death Knight skill in, or Dark Knight skill, I should say, not Death Knight, skill from like Final Fantasy XI, where you can increase your damage so much, but in turn you yourself took more damage. So anyway, question 3. Ninja is able to silence stun, and I feel like their DPS output is a bit too high. Do you have any plans to make adjustments to I mean, obviously, to say so they are balanced with other jobs? With the Mudra combinations, Ninja is a job where it's tricky to deal damage, and we've set their DPS to be somewhat higher than other jobs. However, players have really been pushing Ninja to the limit. While it's only a slight percentage, DPS is being output at higher than anticipated. Due to this, in order to make their DPS output similar to other jobs, we'll be making adjustments to DPS and the TP costs of certain actions while ensuring that the current rotation is not destroyed. Fair enough. This is a Ninja's too powerful, we will balance. Cool. Question 4. It says currently there seems to be some lag involved with casting the mudras. Are there any plans to address this in the future? And the answer is, this is something that is difficult for us to adjust because it's hard to confirm, as there are aspects that are related to the filter for how OS packets are being sent. AKA, unfortunately, it's not something we'll be able to address immediately, but we will continue looking into ways to alleviate the lag on the action. So basically, it's a case of there's a technical issue and they're looking at it. Fine. Question 5. So it says there is a lot of equipment for Summoner and Bard where the stats such as spell speed and skill speed do not really match the concept of the job. These aren't very advantageous, so will you be making adjustments to this in the future? Is that we've made it so that Final Fantasy XIV, the ultimate goal is to obtain raid level equipment. However, we've added various stats to equipment due to the fact that there would no longer be a need for equipment that can be purchased with Allegan Tombstones or Poetics, or equipment made by Disciples of Hand. We've been carefully looking over the feedback we're receiving, and we'll be looking into what we will do moving forward. Okay, I guess that's pretty self-explanatory. There's no need to go into that further. So question 6. You previously mentioned each jobs will have their own limit break. Could you provide more information on this? So it says, we are currently talking about implementing job-specific limit breaks in the upcoming expansion. It may be difficult to prepare 3 different limit breaks per job, so we have decided to adjust the level 3 limit break used by each job. As an additional note, we are currently working on creating a new limit break for Dragoon. Because obviously Heaven's Sword is Dragoon themed, let's say. So it says, additionally, we are planning to launch a new benchmark software for the expansion. You'll be able to see the new limit break then. Furthermore, the limit break of bards will no longer be the same as the limit break for healers. Oh, thank God. So please look forward to that, because at the moment bards use the healing limit break, so they're basically, hopefully they'll change it to a damaging one. And who knows, maybe they'll bring in the what's it called, Apex Arrow for Final Fantasy XI, which was a really great move to have as a ranger. But anyway, moving on. So it says, I really enjoy playing through each of the job quests. In the expansion, the level cap will be increased, but will there be new job quests added as well? It's like, yes, there will be for all jobs. I guess it's obvious, every 5 levels there's a job. So there will be job quests to pick up where they left off, and there will also be job quests that introduce new characters. Cool. So it says, currently there are a lot of content for the hardcore users and casual users, but not many for the mid-tier users. Are there any plans to implement additional content for mid-tier users that are able to beat Crystal Tower but not Call of Bahamut? In the upcoming expansion, we'll be introducing new content for the mid-tier users, which is referred to as Free Company Craft. Final name to be determined. Additionally, we are planning to implement normal modes and hard modes for raid dungeons. Look forward to it. Cool, fair enough. I do feel at the moment as well that there's a lot of stuff which is kind of being simplified before they make it epic in the expansion. You know, they're saving their best stuff for the expansion, which makes sense because they need to justify the cost of the expansion. You know, it's going to be like a new game. It's not going to just be a few more dungeons or anything. So anyway, question 9 says, waiting for Faceless Mob for the Zodiac Weapon Quest and Beast Ride Quest takes a very long time. Do you plan to adjust this? As we've already made adjustments to the spawn times for Beast Rides, we do not have any plans to make further adjustments to the overall wait time. If there are any in particular you feel the wait time is too long compared to others, please let us know. On the other hand, there are cases where it often takes time for Zodiac Brave Face to spawn, since they are related to other fates in the area, so we are looking to have these occur separately. That's fair enough, yeah. So they're basically saying that you know, because to be honest, like, for the people who have done the books towards the Animus, some of them were really annoying, but as a crafter I would just sit there and craft until it spawned, so I was okay, but I can understand why it would have been painful for other people. Anyway, question 10. So it says, in a previous interview you mentioned you will be able to tackle instance dungeons by ourselves. Are there any plans to implement this feature? It's like, yes, there are still plans to implement this feature. While there isn't too much we can reveal at this time, just to give you a preview, we are currently discussing a new type of content where you will control your own unit for your grand company, add NPCs in your unit, and take them to dungeons to level them up. Cool. They're like the companions of Final Fantasy XI, basically. You can level them up and have the party with you. This can be kind of a lonely experience. So if you don't have an FC like me, and you need, just at least someone to play with, even if it's just a computer-controlled character. So anyway, question 11. Do you have any plans to add new rules to Frontline? Okay, so the answer is we are planning to add new rules in patch 2.5. The map will be the same, but the rules will be different. Additionally, in patch 2.5, we'll be adding Frontline to the duty roulette. We are currently in the midst of planning new maps for the expansion, and afterwards we are also planning to expand the Wolves' Den. So adding Frontline to duty roulette would actually be completely awesome. That would actually get people doing it. Well, I know people do it, but as in, like, it would really encourage people to do it because it might be randomly thrown in there. So that's a really good idea. So question 12. So currently all of the high level crafting recipes require materials obtained via desynthesis and items obtained by trading tombstones, and the gatherer classes do not have much involvement. Are there any plans to address the balance so that gatherers can be involved more? It says, with the armory system, every player has the capability to gather the same items as everyone else, even though there are some time restrictions involved with some of the items. I mean, he's talking about the mining and botany nodes, which only spawn at certain times of the Eorzean day. So it says, while the armory system is one of the main features of Final Fantasy XIV, this system makes it difficult for certain classes to take an active role in the development of the economy. We intentionally included a lot of desynthesis materials in the new recipes because we wanted everyone to check out the desynthesis system. However, we understand that we went a little too overboard with the recipes. We are currently discussing the addition of recipes for mid-tier users instead of just adding new recipes for the hardcore users. That's fair enough. I mean, they were trying to encourage desynthesis, I understand. I mean, and that's why I started making desynthesis guides on my channel as well. So, yeah. So anyway, so it says, obtaining higher tier equipment for Disciples of Hand is extremely difficult. Will the difficulty be adjusted in the future? Or adjustment. I like recipes and elements that are a bit easier to get into. It says, while I believe it's a good thing that you can't produce high quality items through crafting with a macro alone, that might be personal to me, sorry about that, Square Enix. I would like to make adjustments to the difficulty of obtaining higher tiered Disciples of Hand equipment. Addressing this right away would take away the hard work put in by all Disciples of Hand players that have obtained this gear already. So while in the patch 2.x series, the current recipes will be the upper limit, and we'll be trying to add recipes below this. So yeah, that makes sense, because to be honest, when you are in the sort of top end of crafting, and a lot of people know I am really, really into crafting in this game, you can spend millions and millions of reinvested gil, you can spend hours, days, weeks on it, and it's really kind of sad to see all that gil get burned as soon as they nerf it. So they are really trying to protect the high level users, but also as well the for the lower level users. When I say high level, lower level, I'm not talking about like level of skill or level whatever, just the amount of time people have put into it. So I would say a higher tier Disciple of Hand is someone who's basically like me, who's just put in a huge amount of time into crafting. Then yeah, so I can understand that they want to protect the time and effort to get so far, but at the same time make it a bit more accessible so there isn't such a huge gap between the lower crafters to the higher crafters. So anyway, question 14. So there are a lot of recipes in patch 2.4 that require Master D material. Will you be adding more avenues to obtaining this item in the future? So it says, we'd like to make adjustments starting with the recipes we add from here on out. Okay. So we'll see. That's to be honest, that's kind of a loose answer. That's like, we don't know, but we probably should. Because they made obtaining Fieldcraft D material freeze incredibly easy now, but Master D materials are still very hard to get. So anyway, question 15. As a fresh level 50 player, it's difficult to obtain the previous Allegan Tombstone of Mythology gear, item level 90 gear, because they can only be obtained through the new dungeons. Are there any easier neck to obtain these gear? So that's why at the beginning I said official translation, because I don't know, whatever. Anyway, so we're currently discussing ways to address this matter. We moved the item level 90 gear to the newer dungeons with the item Desynthesis Grand Company turn-ins in mind, but we realized that this made it harder for the newer players to obtain the item level 90 gear. I mean, to be honest, I do like the token system in the new dungeons, but it would have been nice, for example, if you could just sell them. You know, if you could sell them for, let's say, 10, 20k each, then, you know, make a little bit of gil by doing the dungeons, but then give the fresh level 50 players a chance to just buy them and get to item level 90. I mean, I don't think it's a problem for a brand new fresh level player to get straight to level 90, because it would allow them to get into the, let's say, the first binding coil, and as well there's still 30 plus levels difference between them and the top end raiders, so I really don't see that as a problem. Anyway, a lot of new boss battles introduced in patch 2.4 were very interesting. Could you talk about how a boss battle is designed? So it says, first off, Mihiro, Gundai and myself, Yoshida, decide on the bosses that will be introduced in the patch. Once the bosses have been decided, we finalize the story and background for that boss. Once that is complete, the battle team designs the mechanics based on those settings. Finally, the mechanics are shared and checked by the scenario team, and I, if need be, make any last minute changes to the mechanics. Fair enough. And I'm assuming as well there is a, after they've done this, there's a huge amount of, trial and error to make sure that it works properly. Then, question 17. Can you tell us the status of add-ons on DirectX 11? Now that is a good question, because DirectX 11, they've been talking about it for a long time. So, just waiting to hear something. So it says, we've adjusted implementing the basic add-on system, and we're currently preparing the API. Internally, the test code is running. However, there may be bugs with add-ons we distribute when they are modified, and due to this we are proceeding carefully with legal checks and such. At the moment, we do not have an official release date that we can mention. In regards to DirectX 11, we'll be addressing this along with the release of the expansion. We'd like to show off side-by-side comparison video of DirectX 9 and DirectX 11 at the Fan Festival in Tokyo. Additionally, we are also preparing a benchmark before launch, as I said. So on the Mac front, progress is continuing, and we're planning for a late March, April release. Cool. Whether that means that will be when the expansion comes out, who knows? Maybe it'll come separately. We have to just wait and see. So question 18 says, currently all of our daily Beastman quests are used by the XVIII Beastman quest because the items obtained with the oak nuts can be sold for a lot of money. Are there any plans to alleviate the amount of oak nuts required for these items, or have a separate number of daily quests just for the XVIII tribe so that we can do other tribes? It said, we're currently looking to the price of these items daily on each world, and we are at a stage where we can say that we'll be making adjustments. However, as for XVIII Springwater, we do believe that the current cost is too high, so we'll be making it easier to obtain. On the other hand, we'll be monitoring the cost of XVIII a little bit more before we decide on making adjustments. So it would be nice, because basically those sealants are used to craft all of the new offhand tools for crafting, the artisan gloves, the legs, the boots. So, and the thing is though, you need like 8 oak nuts or something per sealant, and you need 6 sealants per offhand tool, for example. So it will take more than a week worth of XVIII dailies just to get enough. So they really should adjust it. I mean, I've only so far done level worker to 4-star for that reason, because it takes such a long time. So, and I don't really get much pleasure in doing XVIII dailies way after I've hit the maximum ranks. So anyway, so it says, question 19, are there any plans to implement an inventory specifically for fishing lures and bait? It says, unfortunately, it is very difficult to add inventory. In order to add inventory, we'll need to increase the character data, and if the character data is increased, more data must be transmitted to the servers. This may cause increased loading times when you move to a different area, as well as lag. We are very much aware of the inventory issues caused by fishing lures bait, so we are currently looking into ways to alleviate the problem after the expansion is released by decreasing the type of lure bait used in the new fishing spots and making the item management aspects of the retainer more user friendly. Fair enough. Again, this is a very sort of no. You know, that's the answer. No, we won't. But you know, we wish we could, but no. Anyway, so can you add a lot more hairstyles, facial hair, and other types of face paints? It's that when it comes to hairstyles, we have to make very fine adjustments to the graphics for portions that stick out of equipment and those that do not. And we do our best to release 1 to 3 hairstyles each patch. We previously added new face paint in the past, but we didn't really receive much feedback as to whether they were good or bad. So we've been allocating our resources to adding hairstyles. Finally, facial hair is connected to the amount of character date transmitted, so it's difficult at the moment. Obviously that means data. So however, we are actually adding a fake mustache for the Starlight celebration. Ladies will also be able to wear this. We're also currently making an afro hairstyle. Okay, fair enough. So yeah, more hairstyles, more whatever. Cool. I guess people like to customize a character, and that's why they added in the hairstyle feature to begin with. You can just go to your in-room anytime and call up the hairstylist, and it will sort you out. So anyway, question 21. A new playable race will be introduced in the expansion, but are there any plans to introduce additional character creation options for the existing races? It says, unfortunately, it's very difficult to add more character creation options. We will try to increase the amount of character options via glamour, using hair extensions introduced in the upcoming Starlight celebration event, etc. So, question 22. Are there any plans to remove restrictions on the glamour system? Unable to glamour gear that the Jargon class cannot equip. So it said, unfortunately, there are a certain image that we would like to sustain in Final Fantasy XIV. We feel that it would confuse the new players if they see casters in heavy armor and tanks in mage gear. However, if there are any specific gear you would like to glamour, we will consider those requests individually, so please request them through our official forums. Yeah, that's true, that makes sense. You know, you don't really want, exactly what they said, you don't want a, like, mage wearing, like, tank gear. It would just be weird. So anyway, question 23. In the expansion, we'll be going to Ishgard, but will you be implementing housing areas in Ishgard as well? That's a question I really wanted to hear. So it says, the war between humans and dragons is still being fought in Ishgard, and it's not really a safe place to live. So we will not be implementing housing areas in the beginning of the expansion. While we may implement it at some point in the 3.0 series, we aren't at the point where we can promise any kind of time frame. That's cool. So it said, will you be implementing the Free Company Alliance feature that you mentioned some time ago? So as we're currently altering the programs related to Free Company's preparations for the content that is planned for the expansion, as well as Free Company crafting. Once this work has been completed, we are planning to add an alliance feature for the content planned for the expansion. I was planning to purchase a PlayStation 4 next year, but the upgrade campaign ends at the end of this year. Are there any plans to extend the campaign? So while we originally planned to end the upgrade campaign on the 31st of December 2014, we received numerous requests about extending the campaign. Therefore, we discussed the matter with Sony Computer Entertainment. Sony Computer Entertainment accepted the request, and therefore will be extending the campaign until March 31st, 2015. Additionally, we are planning to introduce a free trial service for the PlayStation 3 and 4. PlayStation Plus members will be able to participate from December 11, 2014. If you're not a PlayStation Plus member, you'll be able to participate from the 24th of December 2014. Note that dates are tentative. Awesome. Cool. Fair enough. So it said large size houses feel kind of empty. Can you increase the limit on the amount of furnishings that can be placed in houses? We have been prioritizing the addition of land, and since we do not know exactly how much of a demand there is, we have not been able to do anything with this. This is not to say that we will stop adding land in the future. However, I feel we've filled the demand with the expansion areas, so I'm thinking it's about time to enhance the utilities for each house. The team in charge of this, however, is currently working on the Gold Saucer and Free Company crafting, so implementation would take place after this. Okay, question 27. So he says, could you implement a kettle as an indoor furnishing? Even better, how about the kettle that Geralt created? Unlike our usual questions, someone brought this question to my question directly, so I decided that to take this to the development team. The lore team is currently working on the English translation. It will be posted here once it's available. Okay, so basically this needs updating, this really bad answer. Anyway, question 28, it seems like the last question. After the expansion is released, will we still be able to play patch 2.x content if we do not have the expansion? This is my first time playing an online game, so could you please tell me what an expansion entails? Yes, you'll be able to play that content. Even without the expansion, you'll be able to play all the content from The Realm Reborn. It's not like you'll not be able to see players who have become the new race or are playing as a new job. If you do not install the expansion, you will just not be able to become the new race or switch to the new job. Put simply, the expansion will add new maps, a new race, new jobs on top of what is already in A Realm Reborn. And also as well, during the live letter I saw that they showed off a lot of the Eternal Bond system and stuff like that as well. So I will try and summarize as much as I can in the description of this video all of the updates that have been announced in this live letter. So anyway, that's my take on the live letter number 18, which was broadcast today on the 29th of November 2014. And as a reminder from before, if you have a free company that I might be able to join, and it is doing maybe some raids or extremes, and just socially just hanging out, crafting, just doing something, you know, something to fun in the game all the time, then please just let me know. And as well, thank you again to all of the people who've been very generously donating to my PayPal. It's been very fun to start receiving donations, and it keeps me motivated to keep doing the videos for A Realm Reborn. And I do want to start covering other games on YouTube as well, so we'll see. So anyway, that's it for this video. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye bye.